Do you ever feel like as soon as you're finally getting away from the narcissist in your life, they somehow suck you back in? This is no accident. This is baiting, and it's intentional. Today I'm breaking down the 6 types of baiting because your best chance at breaking free is to understand the playbook. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina, and on this channel we talk about emotional abuse, self-development, and we sometimes touch on spirituality. And if you're watching this video, I'm gonna bet that you've encountered a narcissist or two in your life. That's the interesting connection between narcissists and baiting. Narcissists are a form of predatory personality that usually work alone. But if you've encountered one, you've probably been unlucky enough to encounter many. If you're in that club, the only consolation prize is that you've probably grown much wiser with every encounter. So if that describes you, I want you to let me know in the comments. And if this describes you, you're probably going to nod along with this list of narcissistic baiting types. But first, I want to say that this list is organized in order of complexity. So the first types of baiting are likely to work when you're still interested and very unsure about whether you're dealing with a narcissist. There's a pull there, and the narcissist uses it to their advantage. But as we get further into the list, the tactics get a little bit more complex. And this complexity is necessary when you're absolutely tired of the narcissist's nonsense. You know exactly who you're dealing with, and you're so over it. Okay, let's get started with the first. The first type of baiting is when the narcissist claims to have insider information. And this one is one that will probably only work if you're still caught and probably flailing in the narcissist's web. You may get a text or a phone call about something that sounds incredibly interesting to you, and the narcissist knows it would be. They know this is something that brings up questions for you that are going to need to be answered. These are things that are usually very tapped into your anxieties or desires. So here are some examples of insider information baiting. The narcissist has dirt on your arch nemesis, or they want you to think they do. So they send that "you're never gonna guess this thing about this person" message. Call me, stat. That one plays on your desire to see something terrible happen to someone who has probably done terrible things to you. And make no mistake about it, a narcissist is very good at commiserating in these situations because this is their wheelhouse. This is a place that is incredibly comfortable for them, and you might even say it's their natural state. As they say, be careful about people who are comfortable gossiping, even when it's about your worst enemies. Another example of baiting that piques curiosity is the reverse, when a narcissist claims to have information about someone who might be plotting against you, or really anything else that triggers your anxiety and makes you feel unsafe. It could be information about a company you're working for or a place you're living. The trick here is that the narcissist will claim to have insider information because of their connections. So this isn't something you can Google. If you want to know this thing, you have to call them. The second type of narcissistic baiting you'll encounter is guilt tripping. Here is where we start getting more advanced. In order for this to work, you need to care about the narcissist in your life, or you need to care about who might think you're heartless if you don't. This is when the narcissist hasn't heard from you in a while, and they start playing the victim. They may be pinning their unhappiness directly on you, but usually, especially early on, they'll claim that someone else has wronged them and claim emotional devastation. And if you aren't wise to the narcissist schemes, this can be very appealing. This works especially well in the male and female narcissist dynamic, and even more so if the male has the savior complex. Because male or female, if you have a savior complex, you're going to feel like your value is tied to your ability to save others. And saving the narcissist is going to fill you up, at least momentarily. Now, I know some of you know this all too well, but the narcissist who guilt trips you based on your behavior is often a parent. You might get the call like, "Hey, if you called me every once in a while, you might know how rough things have been for me." And the implication is that you could have saved him or her if you had only cared enough to call. This type borders on complex, especially if it's a parent, because there are some deep-seated issues that they've planted within you. But when we're talking about someone you haven't known a lifetime, this type of baiting is often the low-hanging fruit. The next type of baiting is false hope. And this false hope usually surrounds reconnecting with the narcissist. All in, this is what we call hoovering. But there's a fine line between hoovering and baiting. True hoovering is when the narcissist truly intends on reconnecting and continuing where they left off. Baiting is when they don't have any intention of following through, but they want you to think they might. They need you to believe the reconnection or change of heart is going to come anytime now. And in doing so, they're keeping you primed for whenever they may want to reconnect, if that moment even ever comes. It's a way of keeping you from fully getting over them and putting them in your rearview mirror. You know how it is in horror movies when the victims are running and the attacker is walking? Somehow the attacker always catches up. Like how? Well, it's not logical in any way, but neither is dealing with a narcissist. You're putting everything you have into getting away from this toxic person, but somehow, with absolutely minimal effort, they remain right there, right behind you, just out of reach, but close enough to be dangerous. The next type of baiting is fear-mongering. And unfortunately, this one works very well. That's why you see it every day on the nightly news. The secret ingredient in your morning coffee that's killing you slowly, more at 11. That's fear-mongering at its finest. But when you see fear-mongering rear its ugly head in personal relationships, it's not always so obvious, and it definitely feels more personal. Usually in these settings, fear-mongering plays on a person's fear of being shamed. And it ends up being a form of emotional blackmail. If you don't call me back right away, I'm going to tell everyone this embarrassing thing about you that you don't want anybody to know. And deep down, the fear is that everyone will see your embarrassment or your shame and think less of you as a person. And it doesn't matter how involved the narcissist was in the act. You could have had an affair with a narcissist and they'll threaten to expose you if you don't keep in touch with them. They may also try to get close to someone you care about, and this may instill the fear that the other person is somehow going to get hurt. A narcissist may also imply that things are going to go badly for you if you cross them. And if you believe their threats and want to avoid the negative consequences, you're much more likely to take the bait. The next form of baiting a narcissist uses is the smear campaign. Narcissists engage in smear campaigns for a couple of reasons, and one of them is to draw you out of hiding. If you've cut them off and they're desperate for your supply, they may bait you by trashing your name. There's even a popular song that calls this out. Here's the lyrics. You've been running around throwing that dirt all on my name because you knew I'd call you up. That lyric perfectly expresses how narcissists use the smear campaign to get your attention and bait them back into their drama cycle. And the final way a narcissist will bait you is by triggering an emotional response. This can only happen after you've gotten close to a narcissist, or if you were raised by one. The narcissist will trigger an emotional response from you by touching on hot button issues and making you feel like you have to defend yourself. Triggers are different for everyone, and that's why this happens later in the relationship. The narcissist needs time to get to know exactly what pushes your buttons. When they trigger you, it'll almost always be in front of an audience, and this serves the purpose of making you look like the abuser. What they're doing is triggering reactive abuse. Reactive abuse is your reaction to enduring what was probably years of psychological warfare from this person. You become highly reactive and you may end up lashing out or doing or saying things that you're going to regret. To the outside world, it looks like you're overly sensitive because they don't know that the little thing the narcissist just touched on was only the tip of a massive iceberg. It might be something you've explained and argued about 1,000,000 times, and they bring it up like it's brand new. Who, me? I just said this simple little thing. I didn't mean to upset you. Or they may touch on an insecurity to embarrass you. Let's just say, for example, you're a highly skilled accountant who's currently between jobs. You're proud of your career and have worked hard to get where you are. So the narcissist in front of a crowd mentions that they know of a janitorial service that's looking to hire unskilled labor. No experience necessary. They're hiring on the spot. What does a statement like that imply? 1, you're so desperate for work that you'll forget all about your education and experience and accept any kind of job. If you thought people actually believed that, you might feel a little embarrassed. Depends on the person, but like I said, triggers are different for different people. And this is just an example. But another thing that the narcissist comment implies is that your work, education, and experience aren't worth anything. It diminishes who you are and what you've accomplished in your career. Narcissists love to downplay your accomplishments. And in this example, they've kind of painted you into a corner. You don't see anything wrong with janitorial work and have respect for people who choose that line of work. But if you act offended, which you actually are, it might look like you think you're somehow above other people. And to be clear, this is yet another case where the narcissist makes you look like the narcissist. So there's definitely a lot more to each type of baiting, and I have a couple of videos you may find helpful. If you're dealing with a smear campaign, watch this video on the fall of the flying monkeys. Flying monkeys is a phrase we use to describe people who do the narcissist's bidding and encourage the smear campaign. It may feel like they're faring much better than you, but as you'll see in this video, they're not. Or if you feel like you're getting false hope from the narcissist, which was the third type of baiting on this list, watch this video on breadcrumbing. The term perfectly describes how and why the narcissist baits with false hope. As always, if you found this video helpful, hit that like button now, unless you already have, of course. It helps the video and the channel. And if you aren't already subscribed, now's a great time. When you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you'll get a reminder whenever I post a new video. That's all I've got for now, so I will see you in the next video. I've been trying to post twice a week, so it may be sooner than you expect. Make sure you hit that bell or you might miss it.